The cargo ship Morning Star floated near Kepler Station like a tired bird finding rest. Captain Tae-hyun watched through the bridge window as the docking tube connected with a soft clang. Another day, another delivery finished. His muscles ached from the long journey. Tae-hyun was a simple man with simple rules. Treat people fairly, pay on time, keep your word. His father taught him these things back on Earth in their small home in Korea. Now, decades later and thousands of light years away, those lessons still guided him. The ship had 3 crew members besides himself. Hwan ran the engines and kept everything working. So-jin flew the ship and never got lost even in the deepest parts of space. And Da-eun cooked their meals and managed their supplies. Da-eun was Rexian. Her people were small, barely reaching Tae-hyun's chest. She had 4 arms instead of 2, and her skin looked like smooth armor plates. Small lights under her skin glowed softly when she moved. Her species was beautiful in a strange way. She barely spoke. In the 6 months she worked on the Morning Star, Tae-hyun heard her voice maybe 20 times. She did her job perfectly. Always on time, always clean, always efficient. But she never smiled. She never looked anyone in the eyes. She moved like a ghost through the ship. Tae-hyun noticed these things, but he did not push. Some people needed space. Some people had bad pasts. He understood that. He just made sure she had everything she needed and left her alone. That night, he could not sleep. The station's lights flickered through his window. Sounds of other ships docking and leaving echoed through the walls. His stomach growled. He remembered there was leftover stew in the galley. The ship was dark and quiet. Everyone else was asleep. Tae-hyun walked down the narrow corridor, his bare feet cold on the metal floor. The galley door was open. Light spilled out into the darkness. He stopped. Diane was inside, reaching up to the high storage shelves. She stood on a stool, stretching her forearms upward. Her back was to him. She wore a simple gray shirt with sleeves that usually covered her arms completely. But now, with her arms raised high, the sleeves fell down. Tae-hyun saw her skin. His breath caught in his throat. Scars, deep, terrible scars covered her arms. Some were burns, circular and precise. Others were cuts, thin lines that crossed each other like a map of pain. And on her upper right arm he saw something that made his blood run cold, a brand mark. A symbol burned into her flesh. It was a number and a strange letter from an alphabet he did not know. Tae-hyun's father had been a soldier. Before that, his grandfather survived war. Tae-hyun himself served in the Korean Space Defense Force when he was young. He knew what torture looked like. He knew what prisoner marks looked like. He had seen them before in old history books from Earth's darkest times. His foot scraped the floor. The sound was tiny, but Da-eun heard it. She spun around, her eyes wide with fear. In one quick motion, she pulled her sleeves down and stepped off the stool. Her whole body trembled. For a long moment, they just stood there. The only sound was the gentle hum of the ship's systems. Tae-hyun's mind raced. He wanted to say something, but what? He did not want to scare her more than she already was. Finally, he spoke softly. His voice was gentle, like talking to a frightened animal. Da-eun, I saw your arms, she said nothing. Her glowing marks dimmed almost to nothing. She looked at the floor. Tae-hyun took a small step closer. Not too close, just enough to show he was not leaving. Those marks. Someone hurt you. Someone did that to you on purpose. Still, she said nothing, but a small sound escaped her throat. Not quite a cry. Not quite a whimper. Just a sound of deep old pain. Please, Tae-hyun said. Talk to me. You are safe here. I promise you are safe on my ship. Da-eun's voice came out broken and quiet. You do not understand. You cannot understand, then help me understand. She looked up at him for the first time. Her eyes were large and dark, filled with years of fear. The marks are from my owners. My previous owners. Tae-hyun felt something cold settle in his stomach. Owners? What do you mean, owners? I am on contract, Da-eun whispered. All Vrexians are. We have no homeworld government anymore. We have no protection, so we sign contracts. We work for whoever buys the contract. We have no choice. How long? Tae-hyun asked. His hands clenched into fists at his sides. How long have you been on contract? 7 years. Her voice was barely a breath now. I was 15 when they took me. I am 22 now. My contract was sold 3 times. Each owner did what they wanted. I could not say no. The law says I belong to whoever holds my contract. Tae-hyun's mind went blank for a moment. 7 years. She was just a child when this started. And the galaxy. This massive collection of advanced civilizations allowed this. Called it legal. Called it a contract. The burns? He asked, though he was afraid of the answer. Punishment. When I worked too slow. When I made mistakes. When they were just angry. She pulled her sleeves tighter around her arms. The brand is my contract number. Property mark. So everyone knows I am owned. Taehyun felt sick. His father's voice echoed in his memory. Protect those who cannot protect themselves. That is what honor means. How had he not known? How had he hired Daehyun and never asked these questions? Please, Da-eun said suddenly. Her voice turned desperate. Please do not send me back. Please do not sell my contract to someone worse. I will work harder. I will do anything. Just please, stop. Taehyun's voice was firm but not angry. Stop talking like that. She looked confused, scared, waiting for the punishment she expected. Taehyun took a deep breath. His next words came from somewhere deep inside him, from the lessons his father taught him, from the values his people carried across centuries. You are not property, not on my ship, not ever. Do you understand me? Daehyun stared at him. She did not believe him. How could she? She heard promises before. They always turned out to be lies. Taehyun saw the doubt in her eyes. Good. Doubt meant she was thinking, not just obeying. Tomorrow, he said, we are going to fix this. All of it. I do not know how yet, but we will find a way. That is my promise to you. You cannot, Da-eun whispered. The law. I do not care about their law. Taehyun's voice was quiet, but carried the weight of absolute certainty. My people ended slavery hundreds of years ago. We will not accept it now. We will not accept it ever. For the first time since he met her, Da-eun's eyes showed something other than fear. It was small, tiny even. But it was there. A spark of hope. Taehyun did not sleep that night. He sat in his quarters thinking, planning. The galaxy had systems, laws, bureaucracies. They thought these things made them civilized. But Taehyun knew the truth his ancestors learned long ago. No law that allows slavery can be civilized. No system that treats people as property deserves to exist. He did not know yet how he would help Da-eun. He did not know what it would cost him. But he knew one thing for certain. He saw those scars. He saw that brand. He could not unsee them. And now that he saw them, he had to act. That was what it meant to be human. To see suffering and decide it was unacceptable. To see injustice and refuse to look away. The galaxy was about to learn that lesson. It would not be easy. It would not be safe, but it would happen. Because one human captain saw marks on his cook's arms and decided that was enough. Morning came too fast. Taehyun felt tired, but his mind was sharp and clear. He had decisions to make. He walked to the common room where Hwan and Sojin usually ate breakfast. Hwan looked up from his coffee. He was a big man with careful hands that could fix anything. He and Taehyun grew up in the same neighborhood back on Earth. They joined the space service together. When Taehyun bought the Morning Star, Hwan came with him without question. You look terrible, Hwan said. Bad night? We need to talk. Both of you. Taehyun sat down heavily. Where is Da-eun? Sojin, their pilot, pushed her plate away. She was young, only 25. But she could fly through asteroid fields like dancing. She brought breakfast an hour ago. Then she left. She seemed scared. More than usual. Taehyun nodded slowly. Last night I saw something. Something bad. He told them everything. About the scars. About the brand. About what Da-eun told him. About the contracts and the 7 years of suffering. The room went silent. Hwan's hands clenched around his coffee cup. Sojin's face turned red with anger. I knew something was wrong, Hwan said quietly. The way she acted. The way she never complained, never asked for anything. I thought maybe she was just shy. Or maybe her culture was different. I should have asked. We all should have, Taehyun agreed. But now we know. Now we have to decide what to do. Sojin slammed her hand on the table. What to do? We free her, obviously. It is not that simple, Hwan said, though his voice was sad. If this is legal under galactic law, I do not care what is legal, Sojin snapped. This is slavery. Actual slavery. My grandmother told me stories about the old days on Earth, about how people were bought and sold. We stopped that. We do not accept it. We need information first, Taehyun said. We need to understand the system before we can break it. He pulled out his tablet and started searching through galactic legal databases. The others gathered around him. What they found made them sick. The servitude contract accords were ancient, created when the Galactic Commerce Union first formed. The law said that species without recognized governments could be placed into work contracts. These contracts could be bought, sold, and transferred like property. The contracts had no real end date. Workers had to earn enough to buy their freedom, but the costs were impossible. Housing, food, medical care, transportation, all of it was charged to the worker. The debt grew faster than they could pay it. Most died still in contract. How many? Sojin asked. Her voice shook. How many people are in these contracts? Taehyun scrolled through the data. The numbers were hard to believe. Millions. Just the Vrexians alone. Over 2 million in active contracts. Then there are the Kelth, the Vimarians, a dozen other species, maybe 10 million total across the galaxy. Juan stood up and walked to the window. He stared out at the station. 10 million slaves. In our time. In our galaxy. And everyone just accepts it. The other species do not see it as slavery, Taehyun said, reading more. They see it as legal employment, a necessary system for lesser species to participate in galactic economy. That is what the law says. That is what they teach. That is garbage, Sojin said. Call it whatever you want. If you can be bought, sold, and beaten without choice, that is slavery. Taehyun kept searching. He found Dayun's contract file. It was all there. Her first contract was signed when she was 15. Not by her choice. Vrexians were automatically contracted when their homeworld's government collapsed. She was sold to a mining operation first, then to a processing plant, then to a merchant who ran a restaurant. Each time the contract terms got worse. The current holder of her contract was listed as Captain Taehyun of the Morning Star. He bought it 6 months ago from a contract broker. He paid 8,000 credits for it. The price of a good computer. That was what Daun's life was worth in this system. He felt sick looking at it. He participated in this. He bought a person. Yes, he treated her well, but he still owned her contract. He was part of the system. There is more, Taehyun said quietly. He found another file. She has family. A brother. His name is Rion. He is 19. Still in contract. Currently working on Arcturus Prime for a merchant named Vosh. Sojin leaned over his shoulder. Vosh, I know that name. He is famous, very rich. He owns hundreds of contracts. He is one of the biggest contract holders in this sector. Taehyun dug deeper. Vosh's business records were public. The man was wealthy beyond imagination. He owned restaurants, hotels, processing facilities. He held over 300 Vrexian contracts. He was known for being efficient and profitable. He was also known for something else. Taehyun found medical reports filed as required by law. Burns, broken bones, malnutrition. All listed as accidents or worker carelessness. But the pattern was clear. Vosh was cruel. He hurt the people he owned. Dayun's brand, Taehyun said. The mark on her arm. I looked it up. That is Vosh's mark. He was her first owner. He did that to her when she was 15. The 3 humans sat in silence. Outside, the station continued its normal business. Ships came and went. People worked and laughed and lived their lives. None of them knew or cared about the millions suffering in legal slavery. Finally, Juan spoke. So what do? We cannot fight the whole galaxy. We are 3 people on one small ship. Taehyun thought about his father, about his grandfather, about all the people in his family who stood against injustice even when it was dangerous, even when it was impossible. We start small, he said. We save the ones we can reach. Dayun is already here. We void her contract today. Then we go to Arcturus Prime and we find her brother. We buy his contract and void it too. And then, Sojin asked, then we keep going. We buy every contract we can afford. We free everyone we can reach. Maybe we cannot save them all, but we can save some. And some is better than none. Juan shook his head, but he was smiling slightly. This is crazy. You know that, right? We will be broke. We might get arrested. The contract holders will hate us. I know, Taehyun said. But we are human. We ended slavery on Earth. We do not accept it anywhere. That is who we are. That is what we do. So Jin stood up. Her eyes were bright with determination. Then let us start. Let us show this galaxy what humans really are. They found Daun in her small quarters. She was packing her few belongings into a bag. When they entered, she dropped everything and pressed herself against the wall. She thought they came to punish her, or to send her away. Taehyun held up his tablet. On the screen was her contract. Watch, he said. He pressed a button. The contract status changed from active to void, cancelled, finished, done. You are free, he said simply. No more contract. No more owner. You are free to leave this ship whenever you want. You are free to stay if you want. But either way, you are free. Dione stared at the screen, then at him, then at the screen again. Her 4 hands started to shake. I do not understand. You are releasing me? But you paid for my contract. You will lose money. I do not care about the money, Taehyun said. You are not property. You never should have been. Taehyun's legs gave out. She slid down the wall and sat on the floor. Her whole body shook. Then she started to cry. Not quiet tears, but deep sobs that came from 7 years of pain and fear and hopelessness. So Jin sat down next to her and carefully put an arm around her shoulders. Hwan looked away, wiping his own eyes. Taehyun knelt down in front of Daeun. Your brother, he said gently. Rian, we found him. We are going to Arcturus Prime. We are going to bring him home to you. If you want to come with us, you can. If you want to wait here, that is fine too. But we will bring him back. That is a promise. Daeun looked up at him. Her eyes were still full of tears, but something else was there too. Something she had not felt in 7 years. Hope. I come with you, she whispered. Please, I come with you. Taehyun nodded. Then we leave tomorrow. Arcturus Prime is 3 days away. When we get there, we are going to change everything. He did not know how right he was. What they were about to start would shake the entire galaxy. One small crew. One small ship. One simple idea that people should be free. Sometimes that is all it takes to change the world. Arcturus Prime appeared in the viewport like a jewel against black space. The planet was rich and beautiful, with cities that sparkled under 3 suns. This was where wealthy aliens came to spend their money, where powerful merchants made their fortunes, where Vosh kept his empire of suffering. The Morning Star docked at the main orbital station. Taehyun stood in the cargo bay checking his tablet one more time. He looked at his bank account. 50,000 credits. His life savings. Money he saved for 10 years of hard work. It would not be enough. Not for all the contracts he wanted to buy. But it was a start. Daeun stood beside him. She looked different now. Still scared, but also determined. Rian works in the restaurant district, she said. Vosh owns 5 restaurants there. My brother could be in any of them. We will find him, Taehyun promised. And then we find every other Vrexian we can. Before they left, Taehyun sent messages to other human captains he knew. Good people. People who believed in the same things he did. He explained what he learned about the contracts. About the slavery hiding behind legal words. About what he planned to do. The responses came fast. Captain Minji from the cargo hauler Bright Dawn. Captain Doyen from the passenger liner Hope's Journey. Captain Young-ho from the mining ship Stonefist. More than a dozen human captains all saying the same thing. We are with you. We will help. Tell us what to do. They arrived together. 13 human ships dropping out of hyperspace around Arcturus Prime within the same hour. It was not planned as a statement, but it became one anyway. The station authorities noticed. Contract holders noticed. The Vrexians noticed most of all. Taehyun walked through the station with Daeun, Hwan, and Sojin. They went to the contract exchange first. It was a building like a bank, clean and official. Workers sat behind desks, processing the buying and selling of people like it was normal business. A tall alien with blue skin greeted them. His name tag said Counselor Vex, welcome. Are you looking to purchase contracts today? We have an excellent selection of Vrexian workers. Very affordable, very reliable. Taehyun felt sick hearing those words, but he kept his voice calm. Yes, I want to buy Vrexian contracts. As many as I can afford. Vex smiled. Excellent. Are you looking for any particular skills? We have cooks, cleaners, maintenance workers, factory laborers, all of them. Taehyun said. I want all the Vrexian contracts you have available right now. Vex blinked. All of them? That is unusual. May I ask why you need so many workers? That is my business, Taehyun said firmly. Can you sell them to me or not? Vex's smile got bigger. He saw profit. Of course. Let me check our current inventory. He typed on his computer. We have 43 Vrexian contracts available for immediate purchase. The total cost would be 300,000 credits. Taehyun did the math quickly. He only had 50,000. But the other captains had money too. He sent a quick message. Within minutes, the responses came back. "We have it. Send the account numbers. I can pay," Taehyun said. "Process the sale." It took an hour. Forms, signatures, identity verification. The whole time, Daeun stood silent, watching this business that traded lives like goods. Finally, Vex handed Taehyun a data chip. "There you are. 43 Vrexian contracts now belonging to Captain Taehyun. They will be notified of the transfer. You can collect them at the worker housing complex." "Thank you," Taehyun said. He walked out of the building. Once they were outside and away from cameras, he pulled out his tablet. He loaded the contract data chip. 43 names appeared on his screen. 43 people who thought they just got sold again. 43 lives waiting to see what new horror awaited them. Taehyun pressed a button. Then another. Then another. 43 times he pressed the void button. 43 contracts changed from active to cancelled. "Done," he said simply. So Jin laughed with amazement. "Just like that? Just press a button and they are free?" "Just like that," Taehyun confirmed. "Now we need to find them and tell them." The worker housing complex was a sad place. Gray buildings with small rooms. Hundreds of Vrexians lived here, packed together like cargo. They worked 16-hour days and came home to sleep in rooms barely big enough to lie down. When Taehyun and his crew arrived, Vrexians scattered. They were afraid. Humans were unpredictable. Everyone knew that. Humans got angry fast. They solved problems with violence. That was what the galaxy said about them. Daeun stepped forward. She spoke in her own language, her voice carrying through the courtyard. "Please, do not run. These humans are different. They are here to help." Slowly, cautiously, Vrexians emerged from doorways. They stared at the humans with fear and confusion. Taehyun pulled out his tablet. He read the first name. "Kirill, is there someone here named Kirill?" An old Vrexian stepped forward. His chitin was scarred and faded. He moved like someone who hurt constantly. "I am Kirill. Your contract was owned by Merchant Vosh," Taehyun said. "Now it belongs to me. I bought it an hour ago." He paused. "And now I am voiding it." "You are free. Your contract is cancelled. You owe nothing to anyone." Kirill stared at him. "I do not understand." "Free? What trick is this?" "No trick." Taehyun showed him the tablet. "Look, your contract status, void cancelled. You can leave right now if you want. You can stay in this housing if you need time to plan. But you are not in contract anymore. You are free." Kirill's forehand started to shake. "But why? Why would you do this? You spent money to buy my contract. Why would you just throw it away?" Taehyun looked at the old Vrexian, at his scars, at his tired, confused eyes. "Because you are a person, not property. My people learned that lesson a long time ago. We do not accept slavery. Not in any form. Not ever." He called 42 more names. 42 more Vrexians stepped forward. 42 times he told them the same thing. "You are free." Each time the reaction was the same: disbelief, confusion, then tears. Then joy so intense it hurt to watch. The last name on the list was Rion, Daeun's brother. She had not seen him in 4 years since they were separated and sold to different owners. "Rion," Taehyun called. "Is Rion here?" A young Vrexian male emerged from a building. He was thin, too thin. His chitin was cracked in places. He looked exhausted, but when he saw Daeun, he froze. "Sister?" he whispered. Daeun ran to him. They collided, forearms wrapping around forearms. Both of them fell to their knees, holding each other, crying. 4 years of separation, 4 years of suffering alone, finally ended. Taehyun waited. When they finally pulled apart, still holding hands, he spoke gently. "Rion, your contract is void. You are free. Your sister is free. You can stay together now forever." Rion looked at him with wide eyes. Then he did something unexpected. He bowed deeply in the Vrexian way of showing ultimate respect. "Thank you. Thank you. I have no words. Thank you." Word spread fast through the station. Humans buying contracts and immediately voiding them. Within hours, every Vrexian on Arcturus Prime knew. They whispered to each other. "Is it true? Can it be real? Are the humans really giving freedom?" The other human captains did the same thing Taehyun did. They went to contract exchanges. They bought contracts. They voided them immediately. By the end of the day, 147 Vrexians were free. 147 people who woke up as slaves and went to sleep as free beings. But freedom brought problems. These Vrexians had nowhere to go, no money. No homes, no jobs. The human captains gathered together to discuss what to do. They can come with us, Captain Minji said. I have room on my ship. I can take 20. I can take 15, Captain Young-ho offered. They can work if they want. Real work with pay. Or they can just rest. Whatever they need. One by one, the captains made the same offer. The Vrexians could come with them. To human colonies. To Earth itself if they wanted. To any place that would treat them as people, not property. That night, Taehyun sat in the Morning Star's galley with Kyril. The old Vrexian wanted to talk. He had questions. So many questions, why? Kyril asked simply. I was in contract for 30 years. 30 years. Other species saw me every day. Nobody helped. Nobody cared. Then you humans arrive and in one day you free over 100 of us. Why? Taehyun thought about how to explain. My people had slavery once. Long ago, it was terrible. It hurt everyone. Even the people who were not slaves. So we ended it. We decided that all people have value. That freedom is a right, not a privilege. That became part of who we are. But you will have problems now, Kyril said. The contract holders will be angry. The authorities will be upset. You might lose your trading licenses. You might even be arrested. Probably, Taehyun agreed. But that does not change what is right. Some things are more important than money or convenience. Kyril was quiet for a long moment. You started something today. You know that? Every Vrexian in the galaxy will hear about this. Some will not believe it, but others will hope. And hope is dangerous for people like us. Hope makes us think we can be free. Hope makes us fight back. Good, Taehyun said. Hope is exactly what you should have. Because you deserve to be free. All of you do, Kyril stood up. He bowed again. Then I will help you. I will help you free more. I know the system. I know how it works. I can help you reach more of my people. Thank you, Taehyun said. We need all the help we can get. As Kyril left, Taehyun looked out the window at Arcturus Prime. The planet sparkled in the darkness. Beautiful and rich, built on the news spread across the galaxy like fire. Human captain buys slave contracts and voids them. Gives freedom for nothing in return. Every newsfeed carried the story. Every species discussed it. The reaction was not what Taehyun expected. He thought people would be happy. He thought they would understand. He was wrong. The Galactic Commerce Union called an emergency council meeting. Representatives from 100 species gathered in the Great Hall on Central Station. They were angry. They were scared. They saw what the humans did as an attack on the entire galactic system. Ambassador Thex of the Torvan Consortium spoke first. His species controlled most of the contract business. These humans are committing economic terrorism. They are deliberately destroying a legal industry. We demand they be stopped and punished. Other ambassadors agreed. The humans were dangerous. They did not respect galactic law. They acted without thinking about consequences. They were disrupting centuries of established practice, but not everyone agreed. Ambassador Lyra of the Pelthian Union stood up. Her people were peaceful traders known for wisdom. What the humans did was legal, she said carefully. They purchased contracts through proper channels. They have the right to void contracts they own. They broke no laws. The law is not the issue. Thex roared. The issue is that they are undermining our entire economic structure. If this continues, the contract system will collapse. Perhaps it should, Ambassador Lyra said quietly. Perhaps we should examine whether this system is truly just. The room exploded in angry voices. The meeting lasted 6 hours. In the end, they voted. Charges would be filed against Captain Taehyun and the other human captains. Economic disruption, inciting civil unrest, conspiracy to destabilize galactic commerce. The maximum penalty was 50 years in prison. Earth received the news first. The human government on Earth called their own emergency meeting. Some officials wanted to apologize, to distance themselves from Taehyun's actions, to maintain good relationships with the galactic community. But the Korean parliament spoke first. Prime Minister Park addressed not just Korea, not just Earth, but the entire galaxy. Her words were broadcast on every channel. Captain Taehyun is a Korean citizen. He is also a human being with conscience and courage. He saw suffering and chose to act. That is not a crime. That is heroism. Korea stands with him. We will not apologize. We will not condemn him. Instead, we celebrate him. He represents the best of what humanity can be. Other human governments followed. Japan, India, Brazil, the African Union, the North American Federation. One by one, they declared support for Taehyun. Some sent money. Some sent lawyers. Some sent ships to help. The United Nations sent their own ambassador to the Galactic Council. Ambassador Chen was old and respected. She spoke with the authority of all Earth behind her. Humanity abolished slavery on our world centuries ago, she said. It was not easy. It was not quick. Many people died fighting for that freedom, but we did it. We decided that no human being should ever be owned by another. That became our most important law, our most sacred value. She paused and looked around the council chamber. Now we are part of this galaxy. We trade with you. We live beside you. We join your councils. But we will not abandon our values. We do not recognize any law that treats sentient beings as property. We will not participate in such systems, and we will not punish our people for opposing them. Ambassador Thek stood up furious. You dare to judge us? You humans who have been in space for barely 300 years? Who are you to tell civilizations thousands of years old how to run our societies? Ambassador Chen looked at him calmly. We are the ones who ended slavery. That gives us the right to speak. Age does not make you wise. It just makes you old, and old does not mean right. The council was shocked. No one spoke to the Torvan Consortium like that. They were too powerful, too rich, too important. But Ambassador Chen continued. My government has a message for this council. Drop all charges against Captain Taehyun and the other human captains, or Earth will withdraw from all galactic commerce treaties. We will stop all trade. We will recall all our ships. We will close our borders. You can have your slavery, or you can have humanity's cooperation. You cannot have both. The threat was enormous. Humanity controlled key trade routes. They had resources the galaxy needed. They were some of the best pilots and engineers. Losing human cooperation would hurt the entire galactic economy. But something else was happening too. Something the council did not expect. Other species were watching, listening, thinking. The Vrexian population across the galaxy heard everything. For the first time in generations, they felt hope. If the humans could free some of them, maybe they could free all of them. Secret messages spread through Vrexian communities. Plans formed. Resistance grew. On 17 different worlds, Vrexians stopped working. It was not a strike. Contract workers could not strike. It was simply stopping, sitting down, refusing to move. They knew they would be punished. But they did it anyway. The humans inspired them. If humans who had no connection to Vrexians would risk everything to help them, then maybe they should risk something too. Maybe freedom was worth fighting for. Back on Arcturus Prime, things got dangerous. The Torvan Consortium put a price on Taehyun's head. 1 million credits for his capture. Not death. They wanted him alive. They wanted to make an example of him. Assassins came at night. 3 of them professional hunters. They broke into the Morning Star while the crew slept. They made it as far as the corridor before Daun's brother Rion saw them. Rion did not think. He shouted a warning. The assassins turned on him. But he was not alone. 12 freed Vrexians lived on the Morning Star now. They heard the shout. They came running. The assassins were skilled. But they were not prepared for freed slaves who had something to protect. Someone who gave them life back. The Vrexians fought with desperate courage. They used their forearms, their chitinous armor, their knowledge of pain and survival. By the time Taehyun reached the corridor, weapon in hand, it was over. 2 assassins were unconscious. 1 was dead. Rion was badly hurt, bleeding from a knife wound, but he was smiling. You saved my life, Rion said as Taehyun bandaged his wound. Now I save yours. We are even. We were never keeping score, Taehyun said gently. I know, Rion replied. That is why we fight for you. The assassination attempt made everything worse. And better. Worse because now everyone knew the consortium would kill to protect their business. Better because it showed the galaxy what kind of people ran the contract system. People who murdered to keep their slaves. More humans joined the cause. Captains, colonists, soldiers. Even some from Earth's military came quietly, not officially, but ready to help. The human ships around Arcturus Prime grew from 13 to 40, then to 70, then to over 100. They bought more contracts. Thousands now. Every contract they bought, they voided immediately. The contract market started to panic. Prices dropped. Who would buy contracts when humans might just buy them and free them? The whole system started to shake. Kirill organized the freed Vrexians. He created safe houses, support networks, ways to help newly freed people adjust to freedom. It was not easy. Many did not know how to be free. They were so used to taking orders, so used to being property, but they learned. With patience and help, they learned. The Galactic Council held another meeting. This time they were divided. Half wanted to crush the human movement with military force. Half wanted to negotiate. A few brave voices started asking if maybe the humans had a point. Ambassador Lyra of the Pelthian Union spoke again. We have been telling ourselves this is a fair system, that contracts are voluntary, that workers are treated well. But we lie to ourselves. We know the truth. We just choose not to see it. The humans see it because they are new, because they have no investment in maintaining the system. They simply ask the question we are afraid to ask. Is this right? It is not right. Ambassador Thex shouted. It is legal. Legal. The law says, the law can be wrong, Ambassador Lyra said quietly. The law is made by people. People make mistakes. Sometimes terrible mistakes. I think we made a terrible mistake. 6 species walked out of the meeting. 6 species declared they would no longer enforce the servitude contract accords in their space. It was a small number, but it was a start. Taehyun received a message. It came directly from Kirill. The consortium is moving a fleet, not to arrest you, to destroy you. They plan to make an example, to show the galaxy what happens when you challenge them. You need to leave now. Taehyun called his crew together. He told them about the threat. Anyone who wants to leave can leave. I will understand. This is more dangerous than I ever thought it would be. Juan laughed. Leave? Now? When things are just getting interesting? So Jin shook her head. I am not going anywhere. We started this. We finish it. Daeun stepped forward. She was different now than she was months ago. Stronger. Braver. You gave me my life back. I stay. We all stay. We fight together. Behind her, every freed Vrexian on the ship nodded. They would stay too. They would fight if needed. They would not run. Taehyun sent a message to all the human ships. The consortium is coming with warships. They want to stop us. Anyone who wants to leave, leave now. I will not think less of you. Blue ships appeared from hyperspace, but they were not consortium reinforcements. They were not more enemies. They were military vessels. Human military vessels. The Korean Space Navy arrived first, 12 destroyers and a carrier. They took position alongside the civilian human ships. Behind them came Japanese vessels, then Indian, then Brazilian, ships from every human government, all arriving to stand with Taehyun. The lead Korean destroyer sent a message directly to Taehyun. Captain Taehyun, this is Admiral Kim of the Korean Space Navy. Your parliament sent us. They said you might need some help. We are here to provide it. Taehyun could barely speak. He was just a cargo captain. A simple man with a small ship. Now his nation's military stood beside him. Admiral, I do not know what to say. Say nothing, Admiral Kim replied. You made Korea proud. Made humanity proud. Now let us stand with you. The consortium fleet commander watched as more and more human ships arrived. He counted 50 military vessels now, plus the 200 civilian ships, against his 30 warships. The math was clear, but more than that, he saw something in the human fleet, something that made him uneasy. They were not organized like a military force. There was no strict formation, but they all moved with the same purpose. The civilian ships did not flee behind the military. They stayed right there, forming a shield. These humans would fight, all of them, for people who were not even their species, for strangers they never met. They would actually fight and die for this principle they believed in. The commander had lived for 200 years. He fought in many wars. He knew bravery when he saw it. He also knew fanaticism. These humans were not fanatics. They were just stubborn, impossibly stubborn. They decided something was wrong and they would not let it go. He remembered the history lessons about humans, how they fought wars against impossible odds, how they never surrendered even when they should, how they held grudges for generations, how they were, in the words of many species, insanely persistent. The commander sent a message to his fleet. Stand down. Retreat to minimum safe distance. Await further orders. His officers were shocked. Sir, we are retreating? We are not dying for a trade dispute, the commander said firmly. Contact the consortium leadership. Tell them the situation has changed. Tell them we need different orders. The consortium fleet withdrew. Not far, they stayed in the system. But they moved back. The immediate threat was gone. Celebrations exploded across the human ships. People cheered. They cried. They could not believe it. They stood up to the most powerful merchant cartel in the galaxy. And they won, for now at least, but Taehyun did not celebrate. He knew this was not over. The consortium would not forget. They would not forgive. They would find another way to strike back. He was right. 3 hours later, every human ship received the same message from the Galactic Commerce Union, from the Council itself. Effective immediately, all human vessels are banned from entering GCU-regulated space. All human trading licenses are suspended. All contracts with human companies are void. This ban will remain in effect until humanity agrees to respect galactic law and cease interference with the contract system. It was an economic blockade. Humanity could not trade with 90% of the galaxy. Human merchants would lose everything. Human colonies would struggle. Earth itself would suffer. So Jin read the message and slammed her hand on the console. This is blackmail. They are trying to force us to give up. Yes, Taehyun agreed. That is exactly what they are doing. What will Earth do? Juan asked. They might tell us to stop. They might order us to surrender. They cannot afford to lose galactic trade. The answer came 6 hours later. From Earth. From the United Nations General Assembly. They held an emergency vote. Every nation voted. It was not even close. Earth's official response was simple and clear. We reject the blockade. We reject any law that supports slavery. We will not order our people to stop freeing slaves. If the galaxy wants to isolate us, we accept that cost. Some principles are worth more than profit. But they did more than just words. Earth opened its borders wide. Any freed slave from any species could claim asylum on Earth or any human colony. Humans would provide transport. Humans would provide homes. Humans would provide protection. The message was clear. You want a war over this? We will fight it. Something else happened that surprised everyone. Other species started to crack. Not the powerful ones. Not the rich ones. But the younger species. The smaller civilizations. The ones who did not benefit from the contract system. The Pelthian Union officially declared the servitude contract accords illegal in their space. Any contract worker who reached Pelthian territory would be freed immediately. The Keldan Commonwealth did the same. Then the Virian Republic, then others. The Vrexian homeworld, weak and conquered for generations, rose up. Not with weapons. They had no weapons, but millions of Vrexians simply stopped working. They sat down. They linked their forearms together. They sang old songs from before the conquest. The occupying forces did not know what to do. They could shoot protesters, but millions of them, the whole world watching, they hesitated. And in that hesitation, everything changed. Kirill sent a message to Taehyun. It is happening. The resistance is spreading. Vrexians everywhere are finding courage, because you showed them it was possible. One human who cared about one Vrexian cook. That is all it took to start a revolution. But the consortium was not finished. They tried a different approach. Assassination would not work. Military force would not work. Blockades would not work. So they tried something humans understood well. Politics. They offered Earth a deal. Stop freeing slaves. Stop encouraging resistance. In exchange, Earth gets exclusive trading rights in 3 sectors. Wealth beyond measure. And all charges against Taehyun would be dropped. Earth's answer was broadcast on every channel. Prime Minister Park herself read it. You cannot buy our principles. You cannot purchase our humanity. Some things are not for sale. This is one of them. Our answer is no. It will always be no. Taehyun sat in the Morning Star's galley reading the news. Daeun brought him tea. She moved differently now, confident, proud, free. You look tired, she said. I am, he admitted. I did not expect any of this. I just wanted to help you. I just saw those scars and thought it was wrong. Now there is a galactic crisis. Fleets moving. Governments falling. All because I could not look away. Daeun sat down across from him. Do you regret it? Taehyun thought about it. Really thought about it. His life was simpler before, safer, easier. He was just a cargo captain making a living. Now he was the center of a galaxy-wide conflict. People wanted him dead. Others called him a hero. His name would be in history books, but he looked at Daon, at her eyes which no longer held fear, at her hands which no longer trembled, at her smile which was real now. "No," he said, "I do not regret it. Not for a second." "Good," she said, "because we are just getting started. Kirill says there are safe routes now, ways to reach Vrexians on other worlds, ways to help them escape, ways to bring them to freedom. Will you help us?" Taehyun smiled. It was a tired smile, but genuine. "Of course. That is what we do now. That is what we will always do." Admiral Kim contacted him again. "Captain Taehyun, I have orders from Earth. The Korean Navy will escort any human ship involved in freedom operations. We will protect you while you work." The Japanese and Indian navies agreed to do the same. "You are not alone in this." "Thank you, Admiral," Taehyun said. "But why? Why is humanity doing all this? It costs so much. We lose trade. We make enemies. Why?" Admiral Kim was quiet for a moment. "My grandfather told me stories. About the wars on Earth, about the camps, about the slavery, about all the times we failed to stop evil when we could. He said the worst crime was not doing evil. It was seeing evil and doing nothing. You saw evil, Captain. You did something. That makes you a hero, and humanity stands with heroes." The Galactic Council held another meeting. This time the mood was different. The human blockade failed. The human government refused to bend. The human military showed up ready to fight. And now other species were following the human example. Ambassador Thex stood up, his voice full of anger. "This is a disaster. The contract system is collapsing. Prices are crashing. Workers are escaping. We are losing billions of credits every day, all because of these humans and their stupid principles." Ambassador Lyra stood up too, but her voice was calm. "Perhaps we should ask ourselves why the system is collapsing. Perhaps it is not as strong as we thought. Perhaps it was always wrong and we just refused to see it. Perhaps the humans are showing us what we should have seen long ago." "What do you suggest?" another ambassador asked. "Surrender? Just give up the entire system?" "I suggest we vote," Ambassador Lyra said. "I suggest we consider abolishing the servitude contract accords. Officially, completely. Let us end this ourselves with dignity. Before it ends us without any." The chamber erupted in arguments. Some agreed. Some refused. The debate lasted for days. But slowly the tide turned. Not because of morality, not because they suddenly cared about slaves, but because the system was dying anyway. The humans were killing it. Other species were helping. The contract markets were in free fall. Better to end it now and claim some Karar. The vote happened on a cold morning Galactic Standard Time. Representatives from 143 species gathered in the Great Council chamber. The resolution was simple. Abolish the servitude contract accords. Declare all contract workers free, immediately. Taehyun watched the broadcast from the Morning Star. Daun stood beside him. So did Rion Chiral and dozens of freed Vrexians. They all watched silently as the votes came in. The first votes were predictable. The Pelthian Union voted yes. The Keldan Commonwealth voted yes. Species that already opposed the system voted to end it. The Torvan Consortium voted no. Of course they did. Their entire economy ran on contract labor. Other rich species voted no too. They benefited from cheap labor. They did not want to lose that. But then something surprising happened. The Andorian Republic voted yes. They were a major economic power. They used thousands of contract workers. Everyone expected them to vote no. But their representative stood up and spoke. "We have watched the humans. We have seen their passion for this cause. We have seen them risk everything for beings who are not even their species. It made us think. It made us question. Are we truly civilized if we allow this? Our answer is no. We are not. So we vote yes. We end this system. Today." More votes came in. Yes, yes, no, yes, no, yes. The chamber was tense. Everyone knew this was historic. This would change the galaxy forever, one way or another. Finally, after 3 hours, the counting finished. The vote was close. Very close, but clear 81 votes in favor. 62 votes against. The resolution passed. The servitude contract accords were abolished. Effective immediately. Every contract worker in the galaxy was officially free. The Morning Star erupted in celebration. Vrexians cried and hugged each other. Humans cheered and shouted. Taishun collapsed into her brother's arms, sobbing. Not from sadness. From joy so pure it hurt. Taehyun just stood there, stunned. They did it. Against all odds, against the most powerful forces in the galaxy, they actually did it. Millions of beings were free now. Free because he could not ignore scars on his cook's arms. Messages flooded in from across the galaxy, from freed Vrexians, from other freed species, from humans celebrating, from aliens who supported them, from everyone whose life just changed forever. But the work was not over. Now came the hard part. How do you help millions of people adjust to freedom? How do you rebuild lives destroyed by slavery? How do you create new systems to replace the old ones? Earth moved fast. They created the Free Species Alliance, a new organization dedicated to helping formerly enslaved peoples. They offered loans to start businesses. They offered education. They offered sanctuary to anyone who needed it. Other species joined the alliance, not just the ones who voted yes. Even some who voted no saw which way the wind was blowing. Better to be part of the solution than to be left behind. The Vrexian homeworld declared independence. For the first time in 3 generations, Vrexians governed themselves. Kirill was elected as their first leader. He had no experience in government, but he had experience in survival, in courage, in hope. That was enough. Kirill sent a message to Taehyun. Come visit our world. You helped free us. Now see what we are building with that freedom. See what your gift made possible. Taehyun did visit. The Morning Star traveled to the Vrexian homeworld, now called simply Home. That was what the Vrexians named it in their new government. Just home, simple, direct, perfect. When his ship landed, thousands of Vrexians came to greet him. They lined the streets. They held signs. They sang songs. They wanted to see the human who started everything. Taehyun felt uncomfortable with the attention. He was not a hero. He was just a cargo captain who did what anyone should do. But Da-un pulled him forward gently. Let them thank you, she said. You gave them their lives back. Let them show their gratitude. Kirill met them at the government building. It was not fancy. Just a simple structure made from local stone. But it was theirs. Built by free Vrexians for free Vrexians. Welcome to home, Kirill said. He looked different now. Healthier. Stronger. His chitin had regrown where it was damaged. His bioluminescence glowed bright and proud. They walked through the city together. Taehyun saw Vrexians working in markets, opening businesses, teaching children, living normal lives, lives they chose for themselves. We want to show you something, Kirill said. He led them to a large building in the center of the city. It was a memorial, a museum, dedicated to the liberation. Inside, the walls were covered with names. Millions of names. Every Vrexian who died in servitude. Every life lost to the contract system. The names went on and on, covering walls that stretched higher than Taehyun could see. We will not forget them, Kirill said quietly. We will remember what the old system cost us. And we will remember who helped end it. In the center of the memorial was a statue. Taehyun was shocked to see it was him, or rather a human figure standing beside a Vrexian figure, their hands clasped together. The inscription below read, "He saw our suffering and could not look away. May we all have such courage." Taehyun felt tears in his eyes. I do not deserve this. I just did what was right. That is exactly why you deserve it, Da-un said. Because you think it was just the right thing. Not heroic, not special, just right. That is what real heroes are. Not everyone was happy about the changes. The Torven consortium collapsed. Their entire business model was gone. They tried to rebuild, to find new ways to make profit. But they were shadows of what they once were. Some former contract holders adapted. They hired workers properly now. They paid fair wages. They treated people with respect. They discovered they could still make profit without slavery. It was harder, yes, but possible. Others refused to adapt. They fought the changes. They filed lawsuits. They protested. They claimed this was theft of their property, but the galaxy moved on without them. Their voices grew quieter and quieter until nobody listened anymore. The Galactic Council created new laws, fair labor standards, minimum wage requirements, worker protections. They called it the Human Rights Framework, borrowing both the concept and the name from Earth. Da-un became Ambassador Da-un. The Vrexian government asked her to represent them at the Galactic Council. She was young. She was inexperienced. But she survived slavery. She knew what needed to be protected, what needed to be fought for. Her first speech to the council was broadcast across the galaxy. She stood at the podium, her forearms steady, her voice strong. "I was property," she said. "For 7 years I belonged to others. They burned me. They beat me. They branded me like an animal. And it was legal. Your laws said it was acceptable." She pulled up her sleeves. The scars were still there. They would always be there. But now they were symbols of survival, of strength. "These are my reminders," she continued. "Reminder that laws can be evil, that civilization can be a lie, that old does not mean wise, but they are also a reminder of something else, that change is possible, that one person can make a difference, that sometimes all it takes is someone willing to see suffering and refuse to accept it." The council chamber was silent. Every representative watched her, some with shame, some with respect, all with attention. "My people are free now," Daun said. "But freedom is not enough. We need opportunity. We need education. We need time to heal. The Vrexian government requests aid from the galactic community, not charity partnership. Help us rebuild. Help us grow. Help us become what we could have been if we had never been enslaved." The aid was approved, unanimously. Even species that voted against abolition voted yes now. Some things were too obvious to oppose. Rion stayed on the Morning Star. He learned engineering from Juan. He learned piloting from Sojin. He was good at both. But more than that, he wanted to help. The Morning Star became a rescue ship officially now. They traveled to worlds where freed people needed transport, where they needed protection, where they needed hope. Tae-hyun received honors from dozens of governments, awards, medals, ceremonies. He attended a few to be polite. But mostly he just kept working. There was still much to do. One day, 5 years after everything started, he received a message. From Vosh, the merchant who first owned Daun, the one who branded her. Tae-hyun almost deleted it, but curiosity won. He opened the message. "Captain Tae-hyun, you destroyed my business. You took everything from me. I lost billions. I lost power. I lost respect. I wanted to kill you for years, but I am writing this to say something else. Thank you." Tae-hyun read on, confused. "I was a monster. I did not see it then. I thought I was just a businessman. But you made me see. I hurt people. I destroyed lives. I cannot undo that. I cannot fix what I broke, but I can try to be better. I work now with the Rehabilitation Council, helping former contract holders understand what they did, helping them change. It is not enough. It will never be enough. But it is something. So thank you for showing me what I was, what I needed to stop being." Tae-hyun showed the message to Daeun. She read it silently. When she finished, she was quiet for a long time. "Do you forgive him?" Tae-hyun asked. "No," she said. "Not yet. Maybe never. But I am glad he is trying to change. That is something." The galaxy was different now. Not perfect. Far from perfect. There was still injustice. Still suffering. Still problems to solve. But slavery was gone. That one terrible system was ended. Millions of 10 years passed since that night in the galley. 10 years since Tae-hyun saw scars that changed everything. The Morning Star looked older now. More repairs. More patches. The ship traveled further than any other vessel in the human fleet. It went to dangerous places. Remote colonies. Hidden settlements. Anywhere people needed help. Tae-hyun stood in the galley. The same place where everything began. But now it was different. The walls were covered with photos. Pictures of freed people. Families reunited. Children who grew up free instead of enslaved. Thousands of faces. Thousands of lives changed. He was older too. Gray hair now. Lines on his face. His hands showed the work of years spent helping others. But his eyes were still sharp. Still watching. Still seeing. Daeun entered the galley. She was Ambassador Daun now. But on the Morning Star she was just Daun. The cook who prepared meals. The friend who shared tea. The person who started it all by surviving. She moved with confidence now. No fear, no trembling. She wore short sleeves. Her scars were visible. She never hid them anymore. They were part of her story. Part of her strength. "You are thinking about that night," she said. It was not a question. Tae-hyun smiled. "How did you know?" "You always stand in the same spot. looking at the same shelf where I was reaching. Every year on this day. She joined him, looking at the shelf. 10 years ago today. 10 years, Taehyun agreed. Sometimes it feels like yesterday. Sometimes it feels like a lifetime ago. Both, Daewon said. She started preparing tea, her four hands moving with practiced ease. I am not the same person I was then. None of us are. The galaxy was not the same either. The changes went deeper than just ending slavery. The entire culture shifted. Species that never questioned the old system now had debates about rights and justice. Young people who grew up after the liberation could not imagine a world where slavery was legal. The Vrexian homeworld thrived now. They built universities, factories, art galleries. Their population grew as Vrexians scattered across the galaxy came home. Home was a real place now, not just a memory. Kirill retired from government last year. He was old now, even by Vrexian standards. But he lived to see his people free and strong. That was enough. Rian was the chief engineer on the Morning Star now. He married a freed Kelth woman. They had 3 children. Children who would grow up never knowing slavery, never knowing the fear their parents carried. So Jin ran her own ship now, the New Dawn. She specialized in finding hidden populations that still needed help, still needed rescue. The work never completely ended, but it got easier every year. Juan stayed with the Morning Star. Someone had to keep the old ship running. And he liked being part of history, part of something that mattered. Today was special. The Galactic Council declared it Freedom Day, a holiday across the galaxy, the day the servitude contract accords were abolished. Schools taught about it, museums displayed artifacts from that time. Everyone knew the story of a human captain who saw scars and changed the galaxy. But Taehyun refused to attend the official ceremonies. He did every year. Too much attention, too many speeches. He preferred to be here on his ship, remembering quietly. Daehyun handed him tea. They sat together in comfortable silence. Outside the window, stars drifted past. The ship was heading to a colony on the edge of known space. Some former slaves lived there, building a new community. They needed supplies. The Morning Star would deliver them. Do you ever wonder what would have happened if you had not come to the galley that night? Daehyun asked. Taehyun thought about it. Sometimes. But I think someone would have done something eventually. Maybe not the same way. Maybe not as fast. But the system was wrong. Wrong cannot last forever. Maybe, Daehyun said. But you did it. You saw me. Really saw me. Not as property. Not as a worker. As a person who was suffering. That changed everything. The comm system beeped. A message from Earth. From the Korean government. Taehyun sighed. They wanted him to come back for another ceremony. Another award. Another speech. He declined politely. He had work to do. A young Vrexian girl entered the galley. She was 8 years old, born after the liberation. Her name was Hope. Actually, her name was more complex in Vrexian, but it translated to Hope. Many children born in those early years had similar names. Hope, Freedom, Dawn, Joy, names celebrating what their parents never thought possible. Captain Taehyun? Hope asked shyly. My teacher said you are a hero. She said you freed my grandparents. Taehyun knelt down to her level. I helped. Many people helped. Your grandparents were brave. They survived terrible things. They are the real heroes. Why did you help? Hope asked. My teacher said humans did not have to. She said you just decided to. Taehyun thought about how to explain it to a child. Have you ever seen someone hurt? Someone who needed help? Hope nodded. What did you do? I helped them, Hope said simply. Exactly, Taehyun said. That is all I did. I saw people who were hurt, people who needed help, so I helped. That is what anyone should do. Hope smiled and ran off to play. So simple for her. She lived in a galaxy where helping others was normal, where slavery was a horrible thing from the past, not an accepted reality. That was the real victory. Not the laws, not the systems, but raising a generation who could not imagine treating people as property, who saw suffering and automatically wanted to help. Daeun watched Hope leave. She will never know what it was like. What we survived, that is good. That is how it should be. Yes, Taehyun agreed. That is the goal. To make our struggles unnecessary for the next generation. The ship arrived at the colony 3 days later. It was a small settlement, maybe 5,000 people. Mixed species, all former slaves. They built their community together. supporting each other, healing together. When the Morning Star landed, people came out to greet them. They knew this ship, this crew. They knew what it represented. The colony leader was an older Kelth woman named Mora. She survived 30 years in contract before liberation. Now she helped others rebuild their lives. Captain Tae-hyun, she said warmly, "Thank you for coming. We needed these supplies. The harvest was poor this year. We are happy to help," Tae-hyun said. "How's everyone doing?" "Better every day," Mora replied. "Some still have nightmares. Some still struggle. But we have each other. We have freedom. That is enough to build on." They unloaded the supplies, food, medicine, tools, seeds for the next planting. Simple things, but important. The difference between struggling and thriving. That evening, the colony held a celebration. They did it every time a ship visited. A reminder that they were not alone, that they were part of something bigger. Tae-hyun sat with the colonists, eating simple food, listening to their stories. Stories of survival, of loss, of hope. Every story was different, but they all had the same ending. Freedom. Late that night, Tae-hyun walked alone through the colony. He looked up at the stars. Somewhere up there, millions of people lived free lives because of what started on his ship, because he saw scars and refused to ignore them. But he did not think about himself as a hero. He thought about all the people who helped, the other captains who joined him, the governments that supported him, the freed slaves who fought for themselves, the politicians who changed laws, the teachers who educated the next generation. Change was never one person. It was everyone deciding that something was unacceptable, everyone choosing to act. Dayun found him there looking at the stars. She stood beside him silently for a moment. "Thank you," she said quietly. "I never said it properly. Thank you for seeing me. Thank you for caring. Thank you for not looking away." Tae-hyun smiled. "Thank you for surviving. Thank you for being brave enough to tell me the truth. Thank you for helping others heal. You did the hard part. I just responded to what you showed me." They stood together looking at the stars. The galaxy was vast, full of different species, different cultures, different beliefs. But slowly it was learning one important lesson. All people have worth. All people deserve freedom. All people matter. Humanity brought that lesson to the galaxy. Not with weapons, not with force, but with simple, stubborn insistence that suffering was unacceptable, that slavery was wrong, that people deserved better. And it all started in a small galley on a cargo ship, with a captain who saw scars on his cook's arms, who asked questions, who refused to accept the answers he received, who decided that one person's suffering was enough reason to change everything. The Morning Star left the colony the next morning. More stops to make, more people to help, more work to do. The work never really ended. But that was okay, because the work mattered. Tae-hyun stood on the bridge, watching the stars streak past as they jumped to hyperspace. His crew was around him. His friends, his family, people who chose to stand beside him when he decided to do the right thing. Dayun brought him coffee. She did not need to. She was an ambassador now. She could be anywhere in the galaxy. But she kept coming back to the Morning Star, kept coming back to cook meals, kept coming back home because this ship was where freedom began. This crew were the people who started everything, and some things were worth remembering, worth honoring, worth preserving. The galaxy would remember this era for centuries. Historians would study it. Students would learn about it. Politicians would reference it. But the simple truth would remain.